Hello.
All right, welcome to game six of the World Scrabble Championship in Accra, Ghana. Here we have two of the best players from Nigeria, George Ezinore going against Godwin Victor. So right here with me, I have Emily joining me in the commentary booth. So what do you think about this matchup?
Hmm. I'm pretty excited about this one. I mean, it's always very memorable to see two Nigerians playing. It's always very interesting. So I look out for this one.
Yes, indeed. And one thing you guys should note is there is going to be very speedy plays from both players. So make sure you're glued to your screen and ready to catch the action live right here, right now in Accra, Ghana. And if you're in the stream in Nigerian or you're just rooting for any of these players, leave a comment for them and cheer them on in the comments. All right, we see the handshake and we are set to go. So we see Maundest for George Ezinore.
All right. I think we might be seeing a bingo come through.
Yes, indeed. He has Dustman available for him on his first turn. You can see he's wasting no time. He has cited the bingo and rightfully arranging it down on the board. This move scores 76 points, and I'm sure he's pretty excited to start off this game with a bingo.
I must say, I like how fast Nigerians are able to spot their word quickly and they always go for it.
Yes, indeed. Now we have Godwin Victor. It's Beifsew. He has an S of his own, and I'm guessing after maybe a balanced just maybe a tweet-out play of FEW somewhere, which is exactly what he's doing, leaving BIES. He's set to maybe bingo next turn with the floaters on the board. However, he did have newbies available for him down the N in Dustman for 40. But I'm guessing is playing the long game and staying patient, hoping for a bingo next turn.
All right. I see George has picked like the biggies and he's wasting no time in
Oof.
cashing in very
The
huge
Z
points.
bomb comes down. I'm sure Godwin Victor must have thought about that while he was playing his FEW move, but the game was too early to be scared of too
Exactly.
many, threats, and he just had to play it regardless. We see the luck shining on George Ezinore with ZE coming down for 68 points,
Woo.
76 points in his first move, 68 points in his next move. And I'm sure we are going to see a bingo right now from Godwin Victor. I promised you this was going to be an interesting matchup, and we see the players delivering just that.
Okay, so through the T of Dustman, he can play BGS. I think that's the only available bingo for Victor. So BGS for 72 move for 72 points. What do you think about that, Excel?
Yes, all he has to do is when you think of the color beige, there are a lot of, in fact, all the colors can be IER, IEST. So beigest would definitely come down. You can see he has arranged that on his tiles, just making sure he's not missing any other bingo, let's say to the D or anything. And as soon as he's, done assessing, I believe beigest is going to come down on this board. And one thing I even like about this move is it's going to throw the board open. I
Okay.
can assure you so much is going to happen with the ease float right next to the triple letter score after that move. Things are going to get interesting. And the B is open for maybe a triple triple or just a triple word score. There is so much open right after this move, and I feel like these two players are just going to go head to head, band for band, right here in this game.
Exactly. So I think he's still taking his time on this one. You don't think he's worried about the triple lane that is about to be exposed with this move?
Well, I'm guessing it could be, having some doubts about the word. It's not as easy to, just spot and cash in immediately. It's making sure he's doing his due diligence. And one thing they might be considering is there is Beigest, Beigest, which I'm sure he knows. So maybe he's wondering if Beigest is the only valid word from Beige and maybe Beigest is invalid. But I'm sure when he remembers that, there's yellowy, there's whitey, and all that. So beige can also play to beiges, not just beige, beiger, beiges. And as soon as he recognizes that pattern, I'm sure he's going to feel confident locking in that move.
All right. I greet you in the chat. I see Robert. Hello. So you're all welcome to join and enjoy the stream. Also, make sure you share with your friends and family and stay tuned.
Yes, indeed. We are seeing Godwin Victor taking his time, but eventually he's going for the move. Fine, there might be a hint of doubt, but I'm sure he has, really thought it through and is positive that this word has to be valid. Right now, George is on 144, and after this move, Godwin is going to be on 96. Yes, George still has a lead in this game, but anything can happen. There are still two blanks on scene, and a lot more tiles left to be played.
I definitely think George would be scoring pretty well in the next round, considering his rats and what he's having right now.
Yes, the B allows him to play words like hijab for 51 points. And the best thing about this move is his leave. LUX on an open board can do a lot of damage. In fact, all he needs is an A draw after hijab, and he can play AXE for over 50 points around that spot. So things are really looking up for George right now. But that's not to say Godwin cannot come back and do a lot of damage on his turn. We can even see he has found the blank. I told you guys this is going to be an incredible matchup. If you're here watching, make sure you share the link to your friends and tell them that right now George and Godwin Victor are going band for band right here in the World Scrabble Championships in Accra, Ghana.
Ooh, I'm pretty pumped for this one, I must say. I look forward.
Yes, indeed. You can see George is weighing his options. He would have seen hijab, just wondering if he should place X first for HEX above Dustman, which scores 45, leaving JAUL. But I'm sure he's going to see that there is no need to rush the X move. The X would always have an opportunity to score on this board. So a move like hijab, scoring 51, leaving LUX has to be the play here. But we see him taking his time. Yes, I did say Nigerian players are really fast, but that's not to say they're not going to take their time when necessary.
Also, through the right side of the board from the B, he could play BEU BEAU hex for 45 points, leaving HGL. What do you think about that one, Victor?
I think it's also worth considering leaving HJL. The only downturn to it is you're not retaining any vowel. So we see jalab come down instead of hijab. I mean, HUX is still a really solid leave. And one interesting thing I think about this is even without the X in this turn, he's setting up his H from the E in Beges. He could play HE through to the double word score there and really score exceedingly well. So leaving the H and the X just assures that he's definitely going to score a boatload of points next turn.
All right, we might be seeing another bingo here, Excel. So through the M of Dustman, with what Victor is having, he could play Masonry for 82 points.
Oof,
That is very interesting. And
yes,
an interesting other option would be to overlap Jalap to play Pyronos, if I'm correct, for 81 points.
yes, indeed. Pyranos would be an incredible find there if he sees that. And as you said, he has masonry, which I believe he knows. And as soon as he spots it, he's going to play that down the board. The only thing to worry about is in his previous move, he exposed the B for a triple triple, and now he's going to expose the Y for another triple triple. So is he going to get overly lucky and say, "Oh, my opponent probably won't have that great a reply," or is going to play it safe and opt for Pyranos, which keeps things really tight?
I think you might be worried about that. Considering he played Beges and Ezinore was able to play Jalab for about 42 points. So you might be worried about giving a lot back to his opponent. So if he's able to spot Pyranos, I think that would be a great option instead.
Yes, indeed. The thing is with this move is right now there are so many floaters on the board that he needs to calm down and check each and every one of them. First up, he's thinking if there are straight sevens, he could just play on the board, maybe hooking JO or something. And there's also the Dean Dustman thinking he could play down there. There's the M, the U, the S. There's just so many floaters, and he has to take his time looking through which one is going to score best. But right now, Masonry would be the highest scoring option for 82 because the Y gets to sit on the double letter score, and the whole word played would be multiplied by two. So as soon as he spots that, I think he's going to play. But right now, you can see him taking his time. So many filters on the board to consider.
All right. So currently the scores are 186 for George and 96 for Victor.
Meanwhile, we'll see Victor with UTCHVLX. I know he was hoping to, pick an additional a vowel, yes, either an A, an
Possibly,
O, or
yeah.
something. But even with this CH draw, goes really well together. And with a couple of vowels still available to play through on the board, I'm sure he will do just fine on his next turn. All right, we'll see Godwin Victor setting up crayons, but I'm not saying a spot for that currently. I'm sure he knows there are bingos available, but the funny thing with this move is there really isn't a lot of bingos, to play. The only two bingos are masonry and pyranos. So as promising as the rack looks, he still needs to take his time and make sure he eliminates all the options. The G looks very enticing, maybe an ing or an NGY word or something, but right now, he just needs to, extend his find, look deeply into the board, and realize that Pyranos and Masonry are the only bingos available for him on this turn.
So he spent about 3 minutes on this move and it's really taking his time.
At this point, it almost feels like a setup right after I'd said that Nigerian players are really fast, and the two players I know who play really fast in their local tournaments in Nigeria, right here on stream, are taking their time. So I promise I wasn't calling, a wrong shot or something. It just this game obviously has to, take a lot of patience for these players to make sure they eke out a win right now. All right, we see Victor still shuffling his tiles. The tiles he has currently are actually pretty flexible. And as I said, the D I'm sure must look really tempting. But left to me, I think I would be so fixated on that G because a part of me feels like the combinations with the G would, have to yield something. By the end of the day, M is the only float on this board he could play. So
Yeah, definitely. But I must say, hem is quite obscure where it's at. You'd probably be looking through the IGIE that from the BGS. Looking at
yes,
the M from Dustman might not be a very obvious option.
very good observation there. But one thing to note about the bingos that Godwin has had to play for non-scrabblers watching in the stream, you might feel, oh, masonry is a very easy word to find. Doesn't it just mean maybe what this stone mesas or something? Or yeah, so you might think
Yeah.
masonry is very easy to find, but I promise you, when you're on the hot seat playing in the World Championships. I know you're on the live stream, and the world is watching you. It might be very difficult citing certain plays. I'm sure if it were to be like Major Rat that we saw in the last move, we would have seen Godwin Victor play that immediately. But Sometimes these words could evade you, and we see him going for Yearn, scoring 45, leaving OS blank. Very, it's understandable if you don't see your bingo, you might as well score 45 solid points.
And it's leaving a good leave to OS blank. So
True.
not bad.
All right, we are finally seeing speedy plays from George Ezinore coming down with MUTCH scoring for 24 points, leaving LVX. I'm sure he has his eyes set on that U in Dustman, hoping to pick maybe an E, come back with VXEDXU or something there. So I'm sure he knows what he's doing. MUTCH scoring 24, leaving VLX seems really solid to me. Back to Godwin Victor. Up the top of my head, I can see what like foodies, and I'm sure he's definitely going to bingo on this next turn. Once again, if you're in the chat, you're a Nigerian, or you're watching from anywhere in the world, you could say hi, tell us where you're watching from. I'm going to engage you. And if you have any questions about the tournament, I'm right here to answer them. In the last stream, we saw Cohen Lowry from USA going against Timmy Woko from Nigeria. If you missed that, I promise you, it was an amazing game. We saw Cohen Lowry, start really well, but Timmy Woko came with a bingo of Garcons to steal that win. And I'm sure this game is going to offer so much more, as we've already seen Dustman come on the first move, Bayjest come next, and now we're definitely going to see a bingo from Godwin Victor.
Okay, so I think you have spotted foodies
Yes,
for
indeed.
71 points.
We'll have some confirmation if it's circling the E on the blank designator. But as soon as that is confirmed, it's going to be 72 points, and the scores are going to be Godwin's 212 to George's 210, just a 2 point difference. I told you this game is going to be really close, and even if not close, it's going to be super interesting. Well as at that point, except the U would have given him things like Vox, Vex, or Vax to play atop DU in Dustman, but he still has a couple of options on this turn, I believe.
Yeah, I think you could dump four consonants by playing clump through the O of foodies for 22 points, leaving RVX. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty standard. An opportunity to play out four consonants is something you can't pass by. But
I think we're
he
saying comp.
Yes, he misses that, plays COMP instead, leaving LVRX. I mean, it still plays out three of his consonants. So, as long as he picks, pretty good tiles, he's still good to go.
All right, so it's back to Victor with a rack of ENIAVIO.
All right, with the C floating in March, he could play invoice. It is not a bingo fine, but still playing out six tiles right now with the X on scene from his point of view, the Q on scene, and one blank on scene. I'm sure he'd want to play out as much tiles as he can on this turn. And invoice scores 24 points, leaving the A. It seems pretty solid to me. Let's see what he comes up with on this turn.
Okay, hello, Theo from Makodi. I see you in the chat. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, indeed. If you're just joining us, this is the sixth game of today in the World Scrabble Championship happening in Accra, Ghana. On your screen, George Ezinore is going against Godwin Victor, both fellow countrymen. But I assure you, they are going head to head right now, unconcerned if they are from the same country or from the states, from the same region. They are here playing their best, and right now it is Godwin Victor's turn to play from a rack of AVOINEI. You can see him taking his time. This is, surprising for me. I know Victor to be a really fast player, but I can't blame him for taking his time in this tournament. There are no extra points for the fastest player, so We see him come down with voice through the C in
Voice.
comp.
Okay, so it's cashing in voice for 22 points, leaving AIN. All right, Powell from Kenya, I see you. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, we've seen Powell actually follow the stream
Yeah, it's
quite
been really
consistently.
consistent.
So thank you so much for the support. All right, back to Izunori now. In his last move, he played comp, and that setup, was like compo or comped or comps. But right now, there is no need to even go to that region. He has VOX on top of the board, right below the JE in JLab, scoring very, very well in 39 points. Fine, he leaves PRRL, but to pass up 39 points is something he wouldn't want to do right now. So back to Godwin Victor,
Triple
ANIRIIN.
highs.
Yes, he left ANI in his last move and now picking, two additional eyes. So that must be a bit,
Okay, we might be seeing Rajini on the stream.
yes, indeed. This cleans up his styles very beautifully,
Yeah.
leaving I and this scores 14 points.
All right, so it's back to Ezinore George. He has a rack of PRRA.
SLL. You can see
Mm,
duplicated R's and duplicated L's, but I'm sure he's going to, figure out a way out of this rack. I'm sure he's happy to see the S anyway, and there are still. That is in fact the last S of this game. So
wow.
I would like to see if he holds on to it or he cashes it in right now as he arranges it. Paul's PALLS and CUMPS
I
for
think it's
31 points.
going in and going in with the last S for Pauls for 31.
True, true. I see no reason to, worship the S as at this point of the game. Go for your 31 since there are no outrightly better options. Back to Victor, AUOTING. Autoing is the seven-letter word he has, but no spot for it on this board.
Wow, that must be really painful.
True. If you recall, just a few moves before, the board was wide open. We had
Open.
floaters in Beges, and even when Foodies was played, new floaters were introduced. But with the last move of Pauls, Vox, and Rajini, gradually this board is getting a bit choked up. And even with MUTCH that was played a few moves before, there is no back hook to that. So
I think George is doing a great job in closing the board. You know, he played voice, he played Vox, now he played pause, making sure there wouldn't be any surprises from hooking the S, maybe with the blank, since he had the last S. So he's doing a great job at that.
exactly. He has a sizable lead. A bingo from Victor would catch up to Ezinore right now, but it would be a bit difficult considering the fact that the V blocks the top corner of the board, and what like much that was played from Ezinore doesn't take any back hook. And with pause now, the compo or the comp hook is unavailable.
All right, so Victor is going with the top choice of Goa, 33 points, leaving INTU.
Yeah, so usually would see a lot of players, especially myself, I admit, keeping ing because we are so fixated on playing and ing words because they are so easy to find. But we can see Victor could care less, is going for his highest scoring option, leaving UINT, and in fact, this move hooking AR gives him a lot of options, for a seven-letter bingo ending with maybe
Exactly.
ART or ARE. That lane is just so juicy to play out right now.
I'm sure George might be a bit worried about that, considering there's still a bingo left in the bag. So back to George, he has a rack of Q high, triple R, and OY. Now, what would you play here? So,
I mean, first, I'm not happy to see three R's. We've been saying George have two L's, two R's, and now three R's is just a really big drawback, especially with the Q. I know from his perspective, there are still 2 years left. So I'm curious to see if he would hold on to the Q for one more turn, hoping to pick the U, and maybe go for something like pyro down the pin, pause. That leaves QIRR, which you might not be so happy about, but still it scores pretty well. You extend your lead a bit further. And the thing is, the moment Ezinore maybe exchanges or in plays a really low scoring point, before you know it, Victor would be able to, catch up. Right now, the scores are 300 for George to Godwin's 281. So he really needs to keep scoring to make sure he maintains a 50-point lead or more.
Okay, but I see George setting aside the QI. Do you think he is going for that instead?
Yeah, the QI plays above the D in Dustman hooking IDE. That scores 24 points, leaving ORRRY, my
Wow.
main. I think it's a pretty tough decision. Islam was like Pyro still available for you next turn, but are you so sure the spot would still be open? And then there is still the A in Pulse for was like ROARY next turn. But once again, what are the chances these options will still be open after that move? And now we see Godwin Victor going to the spot where the PE is playing Punk for 30 points, leaving EITT.
Interestingly, I see George with the second bingo of the game. With the second blank. Pardon.
Yes, it's the Rory move that was available in the previous turn now scores a whole lot higher for George after Victor played Punk.
All right, and that has been committed for 32 points. Now it's back to Victor with a rack of BITTGEA. Okay, looking at the board and the styles, I'm not exactly sure of a move I will play that will probably score above 30, considering I'm trailing and the gap between both is about 30 thereabout. So I think an option I'm seeing might be to sit the B on the triple letter from the BGS and maybe play BIS. The same spot you could also play BAS since there's still about two A's left in the bag. So what would you probably do here?
Well, I'm very worried about having the duplicated T's where we can see him navigate his way around and say, I'm going to play bring, and I'm not so bothered about the duplicated tile. So bring comes down on the top right corner of the board for 16 points, leaving A, T, T, E. I'm sure he's still looking at the AR in Ragini, hoping to play seven-letter bingo there, maybe ending with E or ending with T.
Okay, an interesting one we might be seeing come through is a bingo from George. So we might be seeing Harid from the R of Rajini.
Yes, he has ARREEDE, and oh my God, he's wasting no time plunking
Wow.
this down. If this were my turn, I would waste God knows how much time racking and racking looking for a bingo board. What else would you expect from a top player like George Ezinore, quickly spotting fact he does so. This is a valid word, scoring 65 and taking him to 421 to Godwin's 327.
This is very impressive from George.
Yes, indeed it is. If you add the D, it might be easy to actually see the bingo. But the fact that the D is the blank tile makes it a whole lot harder. I'll
Exactly.
still be stuck, doing my A's to Z, thinking,
Mm-hmm.
what does this play to B, to C, to D? And I'm sure as soon as I'm done, I'll probably just give up and say, oh, there's no bingo here and play AE somewhere or RE somewhere. But we can see this is the World Championships, and we are seeing top plays from top players such as George Ezinore.
Exactly. So back to Victor, he has 40s. Wow. IAE.
Oof, this must be very devastating. I'm sure he was wishing he paid off the teas in the last move, but it's Scrabble. You can't, predict so much how the tiles are going to sway.
Okay, so right above the read from, okay, I see him coming through with something similar. It's playing tight for 16 points, but playing teats at the same spots would earn him two more marks for 18 points. So I see he's taking that off.
The thing is, he needs to make up his mind if he wants to still, like balance for a bingo, maybe make a set something. The moment he plays a move like Tit, then there really isn't anywhere else in the board to like play bingo. Maybe he's banking on the C in March, and in some really rare cases, maybe through the H in March to play bingo. But I think at this point, a the game is seeming a bit unreachable. There's 100 point difference thereabout, and we see him go with TITE with a leave of ATT.
And that has been committed. So now it's back to George with the rack of ODHNEEA.
The first thing you need to recognize is there are two tiles left in the back. Okay, okay. Godwin Victor hasn't actually committed the
Okay.
move yet. My thinking a bit would get confirmation, and that's what he does. Yes, he has punched the clock. TIT is the move. All right, now to Ezinore George. So it's 2,000 left on the back from his POV. There is ABLNOUTTW left in the back, and I'm sure he's feeling pretty confident that a bingo probably can land on this board. Maybe in some universe there is a bingo ending with land or something, or maybe an out something bingo, but I think when he does his analysis and with the shape of the board, it's very unlikely that there are any out bingo threats right now.
All right. So I think George would be able to score decently, yeah. So through the T from the just open triple lane of tights, he could play heated for 30 points. Other options might be to play owned just right below Harid for 36 points. But considering we are approaching the end game, you might want to be very aware of what is leaving and playing EH at the same spot with the H sitting on the triple letter, 28 points, leaving ADENO is not a bad choice.
Yes, indeed. The thing is, with a move of EH there, ANODE goes really well with the C still floating on the board. And in fact, it would be the one threatening certain out bingos after that. But we're seeing going for AMHO, slightly obstructing the C, but a bingo can still fit there. But I'm guessing he's just going for his highest score at that point,
Yeah.
scoring 33 points.
Okay, back to Victor. He has a rack of DTANTOW. Okay, through that same spot from tight, he could play Tato for 27 points, but I think he's choosing to play own instead. Okay, down. We see down coming through for 19 points. All right, back to George. We have DNAEEUL.
All right, now the game is drawing to a close. He just needs to play the longest word he can find to the sea, which is exactly what he's doing. Unlaced, coming down for George Ezinore. What an incredible matchup it has been. We saw George came in swinging right from the first move, playing Dustman, coming back with ZE scoring 68. But Godwin Victor put up a really good fight, with Bayjest in that turn scoring 72. Foodies came later scoring 71. But gradually, the lead came in George's favor, and he was able to find really amazing plays up until Reed came to officially secure the win. And right from that turn, it was nearly impossible for Godwin Victor to make a comeback into this game.
Exactly. I must say it's been very interesting and impressive watching George on the street. I think in his last game he played Lunations.
Yes, indeed, it did.
Yeah, was able to hook LUNAT to the IONS. He's quite fast, I mean, and he sees his words and he goes for it. And I'm quite impressed with that. So with this, that's a wrap for round six. And once again, George wins this round with a total score of 474 and Victor 376. So we have two more rounds to go. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back on your screen. Thank you very much.